Alright, so this is the first of a vlog series I'm starting because hopefully very soon I'll be going to Austria on a Fulbright, and I wanted to capture some of the stuff I'd see there. But as many of you know, it's 2020, if anyone's watching this in the future. In 2020, America got kind of screwed with this whole pandemic, and one of the consequences of that is it's pretty hard to get to Europe right now. So I figured as practice, more than anything else, practicing this new GoPro, practicing talking to the camera, all that kind of stuff, I'd start vlogging in my hometown of Columbus and sort of work out the kinks. Now, technically I did travel to Columbus, but I wouldn't go so far as to call this a travel video because I grew up in a suburb of Columbus and spent most of my life there, with the brief period of time where I was at college in Evanston, which is near Chicago, for those of you who don't know, is the only exception. So definitely Columbus is my hometown. I consider it my hometown. So where I'm walking right now is right by the federal courthouse. So it's for the Central District of Ohio in Columbus. It used to be the post office. I'm not actually sure exactly when it switched over, but today it is the federal courthouse. So it's actually one of the nicer buildings, I think, in Columbus. And then outside of it, there are a bunch of memorials. They're mostly to, I believe, labor organizers. So yeah, a lot of labor stuff. Columbus was actually a big labor town, which is surprising because we didn't have a lot of heavy industry here. One of Columbus's bigger attractions. So this is the Scioto Mile. So the Scioto River is the big river that cuts through Columbus. And it was on the banks of the Scioto River that the city that would eventually grow to become Columbus was founded. So that city's Franklinton. And it still exists as a part of Columbus today. But as a part of the actual city, it was annexed. But this park was completed, I believe, in the early 21st century, so around 2000. Yeah, it's a pretty nice place to walk. So across the way, you can see the Veterans Memorial, I hope. Yeah, you can. So that's another recent build, pretty new age looking. I'll try to get a closer look at it in a bit. And then there you go, the beautiful skyline. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I'll stick to my guns on it till the day I die. I think the skyline spells out Ohio. Now, it'd be from the other direction. You can't see it very well from here. But if you look all the way over there, forget the name of the actual building, but it's the one with the green roof, if that's obvious against the sky. That's the first O. Then you have the Huntington building, which is very much in the shape of an H. And then the I is the Levesque Tower, which is probably the defining feature of Columbus's skyline. It's by far the most beautiful building we have. I want to say it's sort of Art Deco. Not great with architecture. I did take one architecture course in college, but not one of those people who will pretend he has any idea what he's talking about. And then behind it, either the US Bank building or the brown building behind it, typically, in my opinion, make up the other O. So you do have to use your imagination a little bit, but I think it's a fun thing to imagine, at least. So this is Broad Street. It's one of the main thoroughfares for Columbus. It's a little noisy. So down there you can see the Palace Theater. It's sort of faint, but it's on the left side. It says Palace. That's one of the two main theaters we have for traveling Broadway shows, stuff like that in Columbus. So, fun fact is on the Scioto River, I believe right here, though it's been gone a while, we used to have a to-scale, I believe it was to scale at least, Santa Maria. So one of the ships that Christopher Columbus sailed when he quote-unquote discovered the New World. So obviously there's been a lot of sort of controversy, actually not even sort of controversy, there's definitely been controversy over Christopher Columbus. And you know, with our city being named Columbus, obviously a lot of that spills over into the discourse here. Will we actually get rid of the name Columbus? That's something that people have been kicking around. I think everyone's favorite idea is definitely to name it Flavortown. Because fun fact, Guy Fieri, actually from here. So right now we're walking over to Franklinton. I figured we should probably look into the city's roots. I do want to talk a little bit about the history because it's not the most fascinating history in the world, but you know, it can be important to know the history to sort of think about the context of Columbus. So we're walking over to Franklinton, which is across the bridge. And like I said, that's when we think of present-day Columbus, it all starts from Franklinton. Franklinton was the first settled area of Columbus. It's across the river to the west of what is now considered Columbus. And it was actually named after, as a fun fact, Ben Franklin. And I forget the city founder's name, and that's on me, but he really admired Ben Franklin. So today we have Franklinton. Here's the Veterans Memorial. But yeah, unfortunately Franklinton's been pretty heavily gentrified, and we'll see that as we get more into it. You'll see a bunch of the sort of yuppie bars and stuff that have been put up. So this has been one of the big new innovations in Columbus. These Lime scooters. I think there are also some Bird scooters around. They are kind of a nuisance when you're driving, but because Columbus doesn't have the best public transit, it's actually not bad. I've ridden one actually all the way back to the suburb I live in from Ohio State's campus, which is kind of a drive. And it was not too terrible. Yeah, I mean, the big issue is there are no subways, I mean, there's a bus system, but it's not super well developed. It doesn't get to a lot of parts of the city. And then obviously no above ground rail. There you go. Welcome to historic Franklinton. We made it. It's historic. But yeah, the transit's not built up. So Columbus, technically speaking, is either the 12th or 13th biggest city in America in terms of population. But at the same time, it's only 30-something in terms of metropolitan area. So that gives you a sense of how spread out Columbus is as a city. So I'm sweating pretty good at this point. Yeah, but the fun part about this is I get to be the asshole holding a camera, so it makes the sweating just a little more tolerable. So I get a bunch of dirty looks to sort of cool me off. Oh well. So there are a lot of mid-sized breweries that are based here in this area, and this is one of them. So land grant. You can tell this is all former factory, former storage area that's been slowly but surely converted. A lot of bars around here now, and even some apartments you see over there. All right, so this is kind of the beauty of Franklinton as it is right now. Right here, got a welding company. Right there, a bar. Over here, I don't know what. Some very scandalous looking artwork, I guess. Very scandalous though. There's a lot of the sort of faux graffiti, allowed graffiti around here. So right here, it's one of the buildings that I would imagine is getting set up for demolition. Would like to get in there, but I think it's gonna be a little hard. Looks like an old apartment complex, just based on the way the windows are set up and everything. But yeah, and then it's right next door to brand new. The new and the old, right there. Easy contrast. Right here, that's the founder of Columbus. The founder of Franklinton, rather. Lucas Sullivan. So that's the guy who admired Ben Franklin. So this then is the Main Street Bridge. I guess it's dedicated to him. Makes sense. It's one of the bridges that connects Franklinton to Columbus. Oops. So we're coming back into the city. I think this is the bridge. That was a very strange deer statue on it, but I might be wrong. I might be, oh, nope, it's the other one. All right, we're going there. Guess we can do a little more history of Columbus. So, like I said, Franklinton was the first part settled. It was settled around mid-1700s, mid to late. And then Columbus as a city didn't actually come to exist until much later. So in actuality, it was a compromise between a lot of the bigger parts of Ohio as a place to put a capital. So Columbus, if you look at a map, is located almost in the dead center of the state. So it's about maybe a little more than that, 2 hours, 15 minutes south of Cleveland and about an hour and 45 minutes north of Cincinnati. So it's got a pretty central location. It's located on a river, the Scioto River. And yeah, so initially though, the capital was kicked between, I believe, Chillicothe and Zanesville. So those are two, now actually almost more rural cities in Ohio, but at the time, two of the more bustling cities in Ohio. This bridge has an awesome random deer statue on it, and I just couldn't resist showing it to everyone. Once again, beautiful Scioto River, Scioto Mile. The Scioto Mile stretches most of the way down the river, and the bike path you see on it allegedly runs just all over. I've never gone much farther than a little bit south of here, but I know it goes a long way. But yeah, here's one of the stranger statues. It confuses me basically every time I go by, because I think it's a person about to jump. Yep. So now I'm over by the Ohio Supreme Court. And just in case you didn't know what the building was, they give you this handy little thing. So you're looking at the building, oh, what could it be? Boom. Gavel. What else could it be? All right. Oh. We got the front of the courthouse. Built initially 1931 and restored in 2004. Boom. Once again, Columbus, big city for labor movements. There we go, there's the Palace Theater. So we're coming back. This is the true city center. So, and frankly, it's one of the very few areas of Columbus where you'll feel like you're in a real American city. Where you have the skyscrapers sort of towering overhead. All right, there's the State House. Right in the middle of the city. It's Huntington Building, that's the H and the OHIO. It's a pretty nice building. I don't know exactly when it was built. This guy looks sort of World War I-ish. That's me, my guess on that. Yeah, 1917, 1918. Very nice. I don't know, I think this is probably Christopher Columbus. Which explains why he has security. How you doing? Yep, Christopher Columbus. 1492. I believe it's the Ohio Theater right here. Yeah. This ended up being kind of a tour of the government buildings in the city, which was not my intention, but they are, generally speaking, the most architecturally interesting. So right here is City Hall. To wrap up my day of shooting, I took a trip to the Arena District to see what's there. So, through the magic of editing, we are now in the Arena District, which is north of downtown. Sort of a nice area of the city. So, it's called Arena District for the simple reason that right there, it's Nationwide Arena. So that's home of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Actually pretty nice. I'm not a huge hockey guy, but games are kind of fun. So there are a few good restaurants around here. I'd say it's probably more of an upper class neighborhood. So the other arena in the Arena District, Huntington Park. So the Columbus companies do a good job of sponsoring things, because you have Nationwide Arena. Nationwide's one of the big ones. Huntington Park. Huntington's the other big company. So they built the buildings, they built the parks. They do quite a bit for the city, which is nice of them to give back a little. You know, aside from the jobs, which are obviously good too.